Alright, hello everyone, ForEach here. In this video we are gonna be making another mission. It's again Let's Make video, where we are gonna be creating a mission in the Arma 3 editor from scratch, and we'll have a look at some very interesting features of Arma 3 editor. So in this mission I have decided to prepare something a little bit different than usually for you, as I always try to bring something new and show you something different than what I do over and over. And in this mission we are gonna be stealing a car, as you can see from the mission title. However, the focus of the mission and of this entire video is not gonna be stealing the car itself. I have done that before and you can see the video on that. It's somewhere on my channel and I'll link it in the video itself as well. However, in this mission we are gonna be focusing mostly on AI, and we are gonna be trying to make our own AI vision or AI cone vision. I don't know how you would like to say it. We're gonna be manipulating AI, and I want to show you what you can do with simple scripts. And it's something I wanted to do for quite a long time, but I always thought that it would be extremely difficult to do, and I didn't want to start something that would be just extremely difficult for me. But turned out you can actually do a pretty simple version of this whole script, and if you give up some features that are really difficult to do, then you can have a really good mission with little to no effort at all. So we'll start by placing some enemy soldiers on the ground. This entire mission will take place around this area, that is the Stratis airbase. And we are just gonna place a few riflemen. It really doesn't matter how many soldiers are here or how well they are placed or anything. This is really just a concept, just a showcase of the script, and the script itself will be like 90% of this mission. It will be what we will do for most of the time. So I was thinking about doing this custom AI cone vision for quite a while. I actually figured out a few scripts for it several months ago, and to be honest, the most difficult thing that I encountered with this was how to make the soldiers see only a bit in front of them and not like for the 500 meters in front like they usually do, and how to disable it for like a fight scene, because of course when they find you they need to react to you and they can't just run blindly into you. They need to fire at you from quite a distance away, but until they find you they can't see you. So that's the biggest problem, and I solved that a while ago with just basically making the player captive, and we'll have a look at the script. For now I have placed several groups on this little area around here. This is just a little base. I won't do many things with the base itself. You can customize it any way you want. Now with the 3D Eden editor you can spend many hours just placing tables and all sorts of stuff. I won't do that because it's just a waste of time. I have placed several, actually only 2 soldiers that will be moving around. One of them will be cycling through the main road and the entrance over here to the west, and the other will just kind of move around a bit. It doesn't really matter. Next we are 3 soldiers that are stationary. I don't need to name the soldiers or anything. All of that will be taken care of by the script, and I'll show you how you can manipulate with soldiers that are not named. And again, as with any mission that I do, all of these scripts do work in this scenario. They may not work in your scenario if you don't edit them appropriately, and that's why I recommend you to always watch not only this video, of course, and download the mission, it's freely available, but also watch some tutorials on the topics related to these to these things that I do here, these functions that I use, and you need to know when and how to use each and every of the functions that I have here. Next, we are gonna make another unit. Actually, I almost forgot. We are gonna need some game logic to mark the center of their base, because the soldiers will return to that point. So I'll name it I center, because I want to name all my logic units anything starting with an I. So this is I center, and basically what I want to do, the player will have one opportunity to actually infiltrate the base properly and have a chance to succeed. Once he is discovered by any of the units that are here, all of the units will go towards him and try to find him, and after some time, of course, they will be unsuccessful. They will either kill him or they will be unsuccessful, and they will want to return to some point in their base. And I want to have this center as the point that they will move back towards to, and they will actually start guarding the vehicle even more than before. So once they are all alarmed, they will go towards the player, and then they will return back towards the I center over here. And actually, I have made the script before. We'll write it again this time on the camera, and I've made the script so that we don't need anything else in this mission. We will need some triggers. I will add them at the end, because those triggers need to launch the scripts and all of that, but we don't really need anything else at this moment, because all the work will be done in the script. We will assign the vision to those enemies, to the enemy soldiers. We will then devise some system that will be controlling their vision, and they will actually move around with their vision slightly altered. They will not notice the player as much as they used to before. And at the end, we'll just make maybe some music effects or sound effects for some alarm or some siren going on. And that's gonna be the entire mission. I just want to show you how to handle the AI if you want to make something really custom. So I'll just make quickly the mission ending, because it doesn't really matter. So let's name it car. We'll place a trigger over here. Activation BLUFOR. Condition will be this, so the BLUFOR activation and player in car. So once he actually has the car, we'll just end the mission right here. So this will be a very simple mission. We'll also have get in and escape waypoints for the player. I won't add any visual effects or any like intro cutscenes or any stuff like that. I do that pretty often. I have also dedicated a number of tutorials for that, and I don't really want to waste your time doing all the same things over and over, like debriefing and custom music and all of that. You can find very good tutorials on that, and I don't need to show you anything like that. Instead, let's talk about the script. It will work in the following way. I will just show you on this soldier how it works. I'm basically creating an area around the soldier, and if the player is inside that area, the soldier will actually see him, and he will start shooting. He will call the alarm, and all of the havoc is gonna happen. And while the player is outside that area, the soldier will not see him. And I can visualize how the area looks approximately. Let's make a trigger just to show you what it. This is way too big. It's 15 and 10. It's gonna be a bit bigger in the reality, but now just so that you can see, the area around the soldier is gonna look something like, let's say, something like this. So when the soldier actually moves around, he can see basically something like a cone vision with a slightly skewed one side, and he can see a bit behind him, a bit around him, but not too much. And basically the best point that he can, the best direction that he can look at is forward. So we will see quite some distance forward and a little bit to the sides and not much at all behind him. However, if you are outside the trigger, for example over here, the soldier won't see you. So it's not just like the normal Arma 3 AI. It's a bit smaller. It's a bit smaller area than that, and I like this more arcade stuff in the missions. I think that it's really good for example, towns and cities and city battles, where the AI just sees you through the entire city. I think that having something like this, some custom system for this recognition, is actually much better than using the vanilla AI, which is a bit overpowered in cities. They just see you from anywhere. Okay, so I think that it's time to go to the script. We'll make everything happen in there, and after we are done with that, we will just launch the script, and that's it basically. There's not much else that we'll do. We'll do a bit more than that, but still, yeah, I think that most work will be done in the script itself. So let's head over there. I'll see you in a second. Okay, welcome back. For this mission, we are gonna need 3 files in our mission folder, and that's gonna be description.txt, init.sqf, and any script. I have named my script enemies.sqf. You can name it whatever you want. Just make sure to launch it at the start of the mission. I also added a sound. It's the FX alarm. It's one of the in-game alarms, if I'm not mistaken, that I have extracted from the game a while ago for another one of my missions. It's a classic alarm. We'll use it to mark the alarm when the enemies have found the soldier, and we'll play that. Alright, so we'll start with the description.txt. It only contains CFG sounds and CFG SFX classes that I have explained in the sounds and music tutorial. I just copy pasted this straight from the tutorial materials, so there's no need to do any big improvements or any big edits to this. I just renamed the class of the sound to the FX alarm so that it fits to my use, and saved it, and that's it for the description.txt. That's all we need to do. Init.sqf will define the variable alarm, but I'll get to that in a bit when we actually work with the alarm. Now let's start with the enemies. And first of all, I need some system for the enemies to actually recognize me as player, or make me an enemy or a friend to the enemies, and see how that works for the soldiers. So so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna place all my enemy units into an array, and then I'll work with that array to actually pick off individual soldiers and assign something to them. And what I'm actually doing here is, because I haven't named my enemies, I can't actually reach them from the script. I can't just type soldier because the game doesn't know who that is. So I need to actually pick the soldiers individually now, and I need to later work with individual soldiers. So I need to find out some way to work with them. So I'm gonna use the command all units for that. So I'm gonna prepare ForEach all units. I don't know if the keyboard is audible or not. It should be a little bit. If it's too loud, then I don't know. I'll just try to make it lower in the video editing. And all units returns a list of all units that are currently in the mission. So that will return all the enemy soldiers and the player. We don't want that, we want only the enemies. And we know about the enemies that they have one thing in common, they are all the BLUFOR soldiers. So I'll add that to a condition over here. If side for that unit is east, that means the BLUFOR, then I can count him in. So I'll probably add him to some array. I need to create that array first, of course. So let's name it enemy array so that we are absolutely clear. Enemy array. Okay, we can now add the soldiers to that enemy array set. The command set accepts two parameters, an index and the object that we want to add to the array. We need the index somewhere, so we'll have it outside the ForEach loop. Set index I. We want to add the soldier himself. And then raise the I by 1. Whoops. Like that. What we are doing here, we are going through all the units, and if the unit is of the side east, then we'll add it to the array that is in the enemy array, and so that we can't assign them all to the same index. That doesn't work, so we'll assign them to the index 0, then have it increase by 1. Next soldier will get the index 1, and so on. Okay, so now we should create some logic for the soldiers, because of course if you want to create something around the soldier the way I showed you with the rectangle, you don't want to have the rectangle directly on the soldier himself, because that will create a big field behind him that he can see. So I want to move it a bit off the center, and for that I will use a logic unit that will be placed around the soldier. It will be slightly in front of him, and I'll have the detection center around that logic unit. I'll do it by creating logic. So first I need to create some center of the logic side. So create center side logic. Then I'll create a virtual group for the logic of the given center. And now I can work with the logic. So I'll do it in a for loop. So for j from 0 to how many enemies there are, so probably something like count enemy array -1, step 1, do step 1 do. Alright, so we'll create a logic for each of those soldiers. So that's logic create unit, position of the soldier, but that doesn't really matter because we'll move the logic anyway. The group that we have just created, and next we have the init box, and over here in the init box we'll actually create a lot of stuff. So first of all, return before the for loop and add a command for the player set captive true, so that the player at the beginning starts as a captive soldier and he can actually move around and the soldiers won't detect him as an enemy. That's the key part of the whole script, because when they actually detect him, they will mark him as an enemy and they will start shooting. And for that to allow to happen, we need to start with the soldier as captive, as not an enemy. So we'll do that by having the set captive true. Next we can return to the creation of the logic. and we'll attach the logic. As we are now working in the init box of that created unit, we can actually work with the word this inside. Otherwise it doesn't belong to any actual unit. Enemy array select J, so that picks off the soldier, and we'll move it 25 meters in front of him and 0.5 meters to the air. Next, we'll actually spawn the recognition, so I don't know, anything equals to some parameters, spawn let's say some function patrol. This function will be what controls the entire mission basically. It will make sure that there is some area around the logic. It will make sure that that logic corresponds to its soldier, and that when the player is inside that area, he will be marked as an enemy, and otherwise he will be okay still until he's discovered, and then the soldiers will start going after him. I'll show you how all of that's done in a minute. Alright, so we'll sleep a little while between individual soldiers. So right now what we have, the player starts as captive, and we have basically created, for each enemy soldier we have created a logic unit, and we have attached the unit to that soldier. We have also spawned some function that we do not have yet, and we'll have it in a minute. And that function will take care of everything that we need. So I think it's time to start creating that function. I don't know how familiar you are with functions inside scripts. They are basically just segments of code that you can launch independently of other segments. You can just call them from the script. It will execute the script and then return the result. Now for the actual detention of all the things, of all the positions, I have used a bit of a function from Bohemia Interactive. I believe it's in the function inside trigger or something like that. I don't actually remember the name right now. It's something like inside trigger. You can find it in the function viewer in the game. And I have taken a part of it and edited it for our purposes so that we can actually use it. Why did I do it? Because I am terrible at math, and I wouldn't actually come up with something as difficult or as complicated for me personally, so I just had to take an example from somewhere else. So I'll just quickly write it over here and explain it afterwards. We'll first make some while do loop, and the whole control will be repeated every half a second. So I'll just write the whole function and explain it later, alright? Okay, that was quite long, and what this does basically, it takes in several numbers and several objects, and it calculates where they are in relation to each other. So I should actually add a few lines over here. Soldier will be the first parameter of this function, and the logic will be the second parameter of the function. Alright, so it takes soldier, logic and player. It calculates the area around the logic. We can see the area X and Y, 40 and 35 meters, I believe. And it then calculates if the soldier, if the player is in that vicinity, in that area around logic, and all of that. So what I need to know is if the position this, which is this variable, is less than border. What did I border ears? Border this, which means border distance, I believe. If it's less than border this, then the player is inside the area, and if it's more, then the player is outside. So I will add that. Is less than border this. Then we know that he's inside, and if it's actually more, then he's outside. Alright, let me find it over here in the original script. Okay. We'll just put some hints so that we know what is going on in the script. And we'll put else hint he's outside. Well, that might work. It's a bit too simple actually, because what might happen is that you may be in the area but you are not actually seen by the soldier himself. For example, if let's take the example of some really small base or some city or something, and you are trying to sneak into some area. You are probably hiding behind some walls or such, and you are technically in the area around the soldier, but he doesn't see you because you are behind two walls, and the area is still quite big and it doesn't take any buildings into consideration or anything. So it might be a good idea to add some conditions for that, so that the soldier actually has to see you in order to detect you. There are many ways to do it. I believe that you could really spend a lot of time, and that's the part where I say that this is still quite simple example, and if you search on the internet, I'm sure that you will find many custom AI detection scripts and modules and mods and all of that. But I want to code my own stuff. I like practicing coding, and it's fun in Arma, so definitely it's also a possibility to do it yourselves. I'll show you one more thing that you can add to the whole script, so that it is a little bit more, I don't know, it's a bit more realistic. We'll comment out the hints for now, and while he's outside the area, the soldier won't see him in any possible scenario. That's just what we want to do. So I don't need to work that much with the outside part. I need to work with the inside while he's in the area, and now I need to detect if he can actually see the soldier, or if the player is hiding behind some object. So we'll do that by using LineIntersectingSurfaces command, and it's a very useful command. I'm actually using it for one of my missions that I'm working on. I may finish that mission or not. I don't know yet. It's quite a while away. There's still a lot of work for me. So LineIntersectingSurfaces returns all the objects that intersect in between some two objects. So the first object or the first position that we want to check is the position of the eyes of the player. So if the player can actually see somebody else. The second object, or the position of the second position, is the eye position of the soldier. So that will be different for each soldier. Next we have, oh, those aren't supposed to be semicolons, those are supposed to be just like this. Alright, next we have two objects to emit from the search, and that's gonna be player and soldier, because in between those objects there will always be those two objects. We don't need to search for them. There are a couple more parameters in this command. You can find them. It's actually really well documented on the wiki, and I'm not sure if it's exactly what they have there, but I'm using something extremely similar to the example on the wiki, so you can quickly figure out what each of these parameters means, and you can also use it for your own missions. I say again, I'm using it for some location searching, for some recon. It's really useful, and if you figure out how the command works, it's extremely powerful for many scenarios in a mission. So by this we have now selected all the objects in between the soldier and the player. Whatever the soldier is, it will be different for each soldier, and it will be calculated for each soldier separately. So this creates some array of objects, and by trial and error, or more specifically by looking at the results of the command in different situations, I have worked out that if the array that returns is empty, then there is nothing in between them, and if there are some objects, then the return will fill with those objects with some positions. So we can just check if the first element is empty, and that means that the array itself is empty, then he's definitely inside the area, and that's what we want to do. Alarm is true at this moment. And why I'm making these global variables over here, that's because you can tie any situation to the alarm now. Basically, we have isolated the situation when the player is detected by the enemy, and now by saying that the alarm is true, we can now do a number of different scripts just tied to this one word, and that's alarm. I recommend you watch more videos, do more missions, and you will understand why it's so useful to have at least one variable over here, because we can now expand the consequences of the player being caught quickly and easily by just having alarm equals to true and tying all those future events to alarm. So player needs to be captive false, and that allows all the enemy units to actually start shooting him. And next we want we want all the units to go to his location, or at least approximately to his position, and simulate some search for him. You can of course do the searching a little bit better than what I did, but I think that this is good enough for an example of how it can work. So we'll select some positions around the player. So that will be something like position player select 0 plus random, I don't know, 30 minus 15. So this selects the player's position on the x-axis, then adds a random number between, I believe it's 0 and 15. Yeah, that should be it. Position player select 1. We'll do the same for the y-axis as well, because we want some random values. How about changing the numbers 15 minus 30, and now we have random numbers and random positions on all the 4 quadrants around the player. Next, we just move all the units to that location. So X move, use the local variables over here. And that's what we pretty much need for each. All units as, again, all units. Because we are asking if the unit is, again, on the east side. What else can we do? We will destroy the logic units for the soldiers, because we don't need them anymore. So if the side of the unit is logic, then we can delete it. Delete vehicle X for each all units. And we'll also add some brief pause after that, so let's say 40 seconds. I know that that's not quite a lot, but you can change these values anytime you want. I really recommend you to take this script and improve it, because this is definitely not everything you can do. There are a lot of improvements possible for this script. But you know me, I just want to give you an idea and then let you work on it yourselves. Like I don't want to hand out all the scripts ready and perfected to the highest possible degree. We'll also move all units to the center by again using the same logic as always before. And because so now we basically want to end this this whole scenario. Well, I'll talk about that in a second. This whole function now should end and repeat itself once again, because we have deleted all the logic units for the soldiers, then we have waited, activated the captive status on the player again, and now we are supposed to start over with all the checking and all that. So I'll exit from this loop with alarm is false and launch the same script again. It doesn't matter that we are calling the same script from inside it. The game is not gonna worry about that. And we can continue. Now let's isolate another scenario, another situation. And he's inside, because we are still this requires some some orientation in the script itself. While the alarm is false, this fill in the condition for the loop. It's very important. We are basically calling the area check, and if it's true, then we are doing all this stuff with recognizing if the player is actually seen by the soldier or not. If the player is inside the area but he's not seen by the soldier, then we have another situation that we can work with. We can add some suspense music, or I don't know, anything you want. I won't do anything with it, just show that the script is working, and you can add stuff over here, any thing you want. He's inside the area, he's inside by the hidden, and he's outside the area. Okay, I'll do one last check of the script if everything seems to be okay. You can delete this. Yeah, I think we can check what is happening. Yeah, let's see if the script works or not. Okay, let's quickly return back to the script. I forgot to add the parameters over here into the function calling. We need to actually call it with the soldier himself and the logic attached to him. So we'll use enemy array select j, and this applying to the logic, as we are still in the init box of the logic itself. Other than that, it should work. Also, I renamed the function from the wrong name to the right name, so hopefully it will work now. Let's get to the game. Okay, that was... I did a few mistakes. I made a few errors in the script, so I repaired them all. It was just typos and stuff like that. Now we can actually try the mission. So I call the script just simply from a trigger activation anybody countdown 1 xsvm enemies.sqf. Nothing else. Preview the mission, and I want to show you how it works. So for each enemy we are getting this hint, and the hint tells us where the player is regarding that enemy. So we have 5 enemies, so this updates really quickly, and now I'm outside of the range for all of them. So you can see that none of the soldiers, let me put my night vision on, none of the soldiers is reacting to me, and I can freely move closer to them. Now I'm inside, somebody has spotted me, and now they are moving on my position. I'm no longer a captive, so they can actually shoot me. Now I'll hide over here behind this wall, and now I need to wait 40 seconds, and after 40 seconds the soldiers will go back to the center, and I'll be captive again, and I can move again. So that's pretty much how the script works. It controls whether I'm inside the area for them or not, and if they can see me, they'll start shooting, and if they can't see me, they'll search a bit and then return back to the center. So you can see that the searching has already stopped, and they are now moving back. Now I'm outside of the range for all of them again. Alright, let's move a bit over there. You can see that it flickers from he's outside and he's inside by the hidden. And that's because I'm now much closer to the soldiers and they might potentially see me, but I'm behind objects so that they can't actually see the soldier himself. He's inside by the hidden. So I'm very close to the soldiers, but they can't see me because I'm behind these objects. Now then, and now I'm dead. So actually the patrolling works pretty well. And the script itself is not perfect, I know. There are a lot of things that don't make much sense. For example, soldiers don't react to shooting from a distance because the player is not within the range for them, or soldiers don't react to dead bodies around them and such. But you can add all those things yourself. I pretty much don't need to do that because first, it takes time and effort for me, and second, I have already shown you pretty much how to handle the AI, what possible situations can happen, and I've isolated each situation from the others so that you can easily just expand on the script as you want. And this is not supposed to be a complete mission, of course. This is, as always, a concept just for fun and to show some new things that you might not have seen before. So yeah, this is a very simple AI patrol script that actually makes them feel more like robots or some arcade game B-title soldiers and not actually Arma soldiers. But yeah, it's quite a lot of fun. You can mess with all the controls, all the numbers in there, and actually make them very good. And yeah, if you like the mission, you can of course download it. The link will be in the description, and all of that is for free. And I think that this is it for this mission. I mean, there is not much else I want to do. I could do like intro and debriefing and all of that, but I have done it many times before. I don't think that you need to see it again and again. I also have quite straightforward tutorials for all of that stuff. So yeah. And yeah, you know what? I forgot to add the alarm effect. So I'm gonna add that to the script afterwards, outside of the camera, and yeah, there's nothing difficult about that. I mean, that's just another 1 or 2 commands extra that will be there that you already know because you have seen the music tutorial that I've done some time ago. Okay, so I think that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope to see you all in the next video. Comment, like and share, and have a great day.